Now, in this time, see, I was looking at studying this because I study war a lot, and I began to look at this, and the Lord showed me the time concerning this guy. And in 1529, the Ottoman Empire set out, it set its sights on Vienna. Vienna is known as the Golden Apple. And so,
Really?
yeah, and so it was the key, it was the gateway for the Islamists to, and all the Islamic world to spread into Europe. They couldn't do it without taking Vienna. Vienna is the key, and it was the key, the gateway to the Danube River, which is the trade route of the world, and went into Europe in those days. So you had to have Vienna, you had to control it. Well, they miserably failed when they went after it in 1529. Now, so later they decided they had, see, in order for their expansion to take place, they had to have Vienna. Now that I can't stress that enough.
Mm.
They have to have Vienna. So they set their sights on it again in 1683. Now this is very important. And I'll look at some of this just so that we'll have the facts on it.
Yeah.
In 1683, the Ottoman troops, which is all an Islamic army, all Muslim army, they came at against Vienna with 150,000 to 300,000 troops. Now, they marched across Hungary. They're all headed to Vienna. It was an army so large that if you'd have been standing in one spot and they came marching by with their army, it took 3 hours for them to pass you, for you to see the end of it when they went by. Now, that's how large this army was. Now, the general leading this army is called Mustafa Pasha, and he's headed now to take the Golden Apple.
Crazy.
Now, all of Christendom in Europe was at stake. If he took it, Christendom falls in Europe, and it's an Islamic territory, all of it. Now, if Mustafa conquered Vienna, all of Christian Europe would cease to be, and it would be conquered by Islam. And one of the documentaries during doing this about this time said all the Christians were fractured, said they didn't, none of them get along, the Protestants, the Catholics, nobody got along. And they said they had no idea while they were now this is important, while they were fussing and fighting, they had no idea about the abyss that was opening under their feet. Said they had no idea about it.
Who said that? Who made that quote?
Well, this was on a documentary. They quoted that this was said.
Okay, got it.
Or they said this, whoever said it.
Yeah.
But it made me think about a prophetic word that I had given. And I may have given it on the Elijah stream also, where I said that the Lord told me, he said, the enemy's going to try to open an abyss in Manhattan. And he said, but my prophets will close it. Well, during this time, there was a king from Poland who fought this army before. Now, this king's name was King John III Sobieski. And so he sent word to Vienna that he was coming. He told him, hold on, I'm coming. So by mid-July, Vienna was surrounded with this massive Islamic army. They had placed such a siege on Vienna that rats became a delicacy inside. And while their army was so wealthy that the tent that Mustafa traveled in, it took 500 camels to move it around.
Unbelievable.
And they had Turkish bazaars set up around in their camp where they had merchants buying and selling while they were besieging a city to destroy it. Now, but they wanted it intact because they needed Vienna. Now, the garrison there was commanded by a count. his name was Ernest Rudiger from Starrenburg. Now, the Muslim army began its siege. It lasted 2 months. Now, I want you to listen to this. This man invited foreign dignitaries to come and watch while he caused the fall of Vienna. So the world was gathered to watch him take the city. And he had to have it to expand his program. Don't forget that. The commander of the garrison that was holding out against him wrote these words. This was his words. He said, "We are living ghosts defending a tomb, yet we will not yield." So, coming from the north, King John III calls every ally he can gather coming from Poland. And as he's coming from Poland, he comes with something he has called a winged cavalry. So King Sobieski, King John III Sobieski, he has this cavalry of 3,000 troops. It's a heavy cavalry, and they have these wooden wings on their back like angels made up of eagles' wings. And nobody knows why they had them to this day. Each piece of armor, each soldier, this army was made up of wealthy people, and their armor was cost 10 times more than any peasant could have ever bought. And they came to fight to deliver Vienna. So they come down, and they're carrying their lances 18, 19 feet long. Their armor's 65 pounds apiece, but he only has 27,000 troops, and he's going to fight this army up to 300,000. Now watch this. On September the 10th, and here's where it starts unfolding. On September the 10th in Vienna, they said they saw signal fires in the mountains. And another said he heard trumpets blowing in the mountains. And just before dawn on September the 11th, 1683, on 9/11, 1683. Now that ought to ring a bell to everybody. 9/11, 1683. And by the way, this is the reason Al-Qaeda attacked New York City on that date, was because of that siege right there. They did that on purpose. That was done a purpose of them. They considered it an anniversary of that date to siege the Big Apple.
So they're expecting good luck because the story's already been written.
Yeah, because they understand something the modern world don't.
Yeah.
So anyway, I want you to think about it. September the 11th or 9/11, 1683, an Islamic army was attacking Vienna. Vienna was called the Golden Apple. It ought to sound familiar to everybody because on 9/11, 2001, Islamic terrorists from Al-Qaeda was attacking the Big Apple. It was all parallel on the same dates. So now King John III was known as the Lion of Lexington to his enemies. Therefore, it was the time of the eagle and the lion coming to save Vienna. And on September 12th, the winged cavalry charged into the Muslim army. And when they did, this is what it said. This was what was written about that day. It said it was the day that God wore Polish armor. And they charged off those mountains, and those wings were singing in the wind, and they charged into the Muslim army. And the king that came to deliver them had his son Jacob fighting in a war at the same moment. And they thought it was the main force while he attacked in the main force and dispersed the army.
Can you clarify one thing on the definition? When they call it, this was the cavalry, you mean people, you mean soldiers on horses is what you mean?
Yes, soldiers on horses.
This is winged, and then they had some sort of...
they wore wings. They were called the winged hussars.
Well, I just asked that because you just have to believe me because, I wouldn't make this up. For all week long, I'm going, why do I keep seeing horses and wings on a horse? And I thought, then I looked up that if you talk about a winged horse, there's some of that in Greek mythology, but that's that's not where I felt like it was going. And then I looked at the TV without any, after that, Robin,
Yeah.
and the commercial coming up for the Super Bowl is a horse that eventually wings come out and then an
How
eagle
about that?
flies up. Have you seen that?
No.
And that's going to be in a big Super Bowl day. They're going to show that.
How about that?
Yeah. So I won't blow the commercial if anyone hasn't seen it, but I don't feel like that's coincidental. I feel like
No, there's no way. No
Yeah.
way. And see, the Lord told me, he said, specifically, talk about this today. And so now how does that apply to us now? Well, the Islamic army tried to take over Vienna once before, but they miserably failed. In 2001, they tried to do it in New York City on 9/11. And then they tried to take Vienna again in 1683 on 9/11 because they knew that Vienna was the gateway to the rest of Europe. The Muslim world occupy a lot of places in America, but you notice this. But here's the deal. New York City is the gateway to all finances in America. New York City is the gateway to all trade routes. New York City is the city they have to occupy in order to advance their agenda into the world. You can't do it without occupying New York. This is why it's the second time they're doing it, and it's the second time it's been tried against the Big Apple, because it is what has been, will be again. God requires that which is past. And 9/11, 1683 is now being repeated for the second time with this Mamba that's in New York. And here's what we have to realize. Notice this, 9/11, 1683. If you add 1683, then you're going to come out with a sum that added together is 9. So you're looking at 9/11 going forward, 9/11 going backward. It's two 9/11s, and it meets in the middle. I want you to notice that. I want you to notice how that works. So we're starting to look at all of this now. And so let me get on down here.
Okay.
And I want to show you something. So the Islamic jihadists tried to conquer the Big Apple once before on 9/11, 2001, but failed. Now we look at it at that number 9/11. So now remember Ecclesiastes, the scriptures we read. So on September 11th, 9/11, 1683, Vienna's Deliverance showed up. The date should be significant because of what happened. Now, 9/11, 1683 added is 9 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 6 plus 8 plus 3, which is 29. 29 is 11. So you're looking at, and if we go before, we keep going a little bit more than that, then we see 1 plus 6 plus 8 plus 3 is 18, which is 9. 1 plus 8 is 9. So the date going forward is 9/11. The date going backward is 9/11. It's two 9/11s. And it's not only prophesied two towers, it prophesied both cities suffering two events from the same enemy. Wow. It is a spiritual moment in time that the Christians don't see, they don't recognize. This man's grinning this way. Yeah, he's smiling this way. He's got to know more than he's letting on. And there was a reason he went underground. Notice that Hamas is all in tunnels. Everything is underground. And this serpent, this Mamba, is underground being sworn in before anybody could see him. Then he comes up on top of the ground, and he has a communist swearing him in, and a liberal, and you see a big red-green alliance coming together because Islam is green, communism is red. You see all of this coming together above ground, and New York is under its second siege.
I was trying to remember or understand what the flag was behind him that had a green and a red when he was being sworn in. Did you pursue that at all? There was a vertical, I mean, it's like you take an American flag and you turn it on its side so it's longer, it's like taller. And in the taller condition, there was a red and a green flag behind him, either down below or after he came up. I'm not clear.
Well, see, red and green is the new red-green alliance that's forming, and it's communism and Islam coming together. And so that's why Bernie Sanders was doing this, because he's a communist. He's an
Yes, he
admitted
is.
socialist. And so
Absolutely.
you're looking at all of this, and if you'll look, see, here's where people get it mixed up, is that people get all bent out of shape over color and racism and all of that. In the Bible, color, it's not so much about people, but color is about something else. See, like the horsemen, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. It's a white, red, black, green. It's green is the pale horse. It's really the word green. And the Islamic flag is the same color. It's all about what's riding, what's happening, it's all spiritual.
Are you saying it's about ideology and not people, or
Yes.
that's the way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and if it is referring to something, it's usually ideologies.
Yeah.